who are giving almost all of the FEMA money to illegal immigrants in what is now considered to be the worst rescue operation in the history of the U.S. He even remembers he's running for president. I mean, not only was he all over the place this weekend, he was all over the place this weekend.
Once upon a time, in a land called Hollywood, Jimmy Kimmel made a joke about Trump at the Oscars. Little did he know it would lead to a comedy feud that just keeps on giving. While we're discussing Trump's eccentricities, let's move on to his notion of using his position as president to exert influence. It seems like getting tables at upscale restaurants is more important than doing business internationally or understanding economic policies. Does Make America Great Again actually mean this?
The stiff workers out of overtime to launch his, I don't know, maybe 15th attack on me for making fun of him at the Oscars.
Imagine this. Trump, the former head of state, boasted of leveraging his influence to secure a fancy dinner reservation for a wealthy friend. Rather than campaigning for the highest office in the land, it seems as though he is trying out for a part in a lousy sitcom about a concierge service. According to Trump, I had one about a month ago, very, very rich guy, and he said, "Could you do me? I can't get into a restaurant. Do you think you could call them to get me?"
I had one about a month ago, very, very rich guy, and he said, "Could you do me a favor? I can't get into a restaurant. Do you think you could call them to get me?"
Now, I'm not sure about you, but when I consider presidential powers, I'm thinking more about addressing climate change or negotiating peace treaties rather than serving as the 1%'s maitre d'. Never one to pass up an opportunity to ridicule Trump, Jimmy Kimmel made note of this priority list's ridiculousness. He made a jest that Trump's conception of foreign policy might as well consist of booking dinner reservations abroad. Is that even possible to imagine? Hi, is this the Palace Elysee? Indeed, I would want to reserve a table for 2 under the Trump name. Are you saying that you're not a restaurant?
Possibly go get them. Could you go get them and bring them in? And he did. And my friend called me up the next day. He said, "Thank you very much. Thank you."
He just shared his plan for the country to use his influence to get his rich friends to the front of the line, to cut in front of all the MAGA hats.
But for a moment, let's be honest. This goes beyond Trump's bizarre priorities or lack of awareness of reality. It has to do with a basic misinterpretation of what it means to be president. Trump is more concerned with getting his wealthy friends into fine restaurants than he is with having food on the tables for regular Americans. It's as though he's in a whole different planet where the greatest concern is a caviar shortage. You won't believe what he said during his most recent address in Wisconsin if you thought Trump's antics at restaurants were strange. Have you ever wondered what happens in real time when Mother Nature chooses to do a fact check on a politician? Imagine this. Trump at the platform encircled by a flurry of insects. It resembles a scene from a low-budget horror film, only the monster is a former president saying absurd things. Always ready with a one-liner, Jimmy Kimmel speculated that Trump would need to change his diaper more frequently to keep flies away. Heard! However, there were other things at this address generating excitement besides the flying circus.
It's always being swarmed by flies. You know, maybe if you change your diaper more often, there wouldn't be so many flies.
With his outrageous comments about illegal immigration, Trump was in full swing. He claims they are all murderers who want to demolish the United States. How about going overboard with your hand? He seems to be vying for the title of most dramatic performance in a political speech Oscar.
Where he was descended upon by flies.
And now they're building a coal plant a week. I don't like flies. Get out of here, fly.
He even remembers he's running for president. I mean, not only was he all over the place this weekend, he was all over the place this weekend.
Kimmel, who never shies away from a good roast, called attention to the situation's irony. There's Trump, surrounded by flies on the one hand, and him making wild claims about immigration on the other. Both situations allude to something rotten about Trump's campaign, Kimmel said.
I believe living in the United States. You know, now a murderer, I believe this, it's in their genes. And we got a lot of bad genes in our country right now. Allowing people to come through an open border, 13,000 of which were murderers, many of them murdered far more than one person.
Isn't that almost poetic? As Trump laboriously depicted immigrants as the enemy and put America under attack, the natural world was offering its own insights. The flies developed into unintentional critics of Trump's political narrative in addition to being bothersome pests.
Oh, that was a hell of a segue. I have to give him that. It's like he's going to run this country like a fly. Like an aggressive fly.
There's an intriguing argument raised by this entire mess. Perhaps it's time to reconsider your strategy when even insects seem to be calling you out on your lies. It's becoming commonplace for Trump to embellish and misrepresent the truth, and it's not just late-night comedians who are noticing. Even if Trump appears to be done with politics for the time being, he is still trying to squeeze every last dime out of his followers. Do you recall the days when former presidents pennied memoirs? Trump is, in fact, writing price tags. What product will he release next? Toilet paper bearing the MAGA logo. Regarding Trump's most recent shenanigans, Jimmy Kimmel has been having a field day, referring to him as the most industrious former president in terms of extracting cash from his supporters.
The Trumps are making out like bandits on this election. No former president has ever been more industrious about fleecing his supporters than Donald Trump.
It appears as though Trump has exchanged his presidential seal for a price gun, prepared to label anything that isn't fixed with a MAGA sticker. Trump's post-presidential endeavors, from sneakers to digital trading cards, are more about protecting his money account than they are about upholding his legacy. He seems to be conducting a garage sale with the relics of his administration. Everything has to go, including my self-respect. Kimmel, who never passes up the opportunity to make a historical joke, noted that cashing in is a tradition that goes back almost 200 years. But let's face it, people, writing a reflective memoir is not the same as peddling snake oil bearing Trump's name. Kimmel created an Honest Abe Lincoln who was playing right out of Trump's playbook in a funny skit. Imagine this, selling commemorative coins and 407 years ago t-shirts. Lincoln was seen wearing a stovepipe hat. You do realize that's ridiculous? However, that's precisely the point. Kimmel's only job is to deliver the punchline that Trump is using to make fun of the presidency. While other past presidents are occupied with menial tasks like volunteering or creating pictures of veterans, Trump is occupied with devising new schemes to defraud his supporters. It appears that he views public service as providing the public with expensive goods.
We're giving almost all of the FEMA money to illegal immigrants in what is now considered to be the worst rescue operation in the history of the U.S.
The worst part is that people are actually purchasing it. In the true sense, it seems like Trump's fans are eager to spend their hard-earned money on anything bearing his name. Perhaps they believe that acquiring Trump merchandise will somehow restore America's greatness. Warning, it is not going to. We've now experienced a crazy journey via Trump's infatuation with humor, restaurant mishaps, and fly-infested speeches. Jimmy Kimmel is the ringmaster of this political carnival, calling attention to how ridiculous it all is. The truth is, though, these jokes aren't meant to be humorous. They're drawing attention to some important problems. Kimmel doesn't just aim for the easy target when he criticizes Trump. He's trying to encourage us to consider what matters most in politics by utilizing humor. The next time you watch Kimmel or any other late-night program, keep in mind that the content is more important than the jokes. It's important to remain perceptive, pose inquiries, and refuse to accept anything at face value. A good laugh can sometimes be the best way to keep our wits about us and our BS detectors sharp in this wacky world of politics.